Jump in the back of the pickup truck and join us for a ride back to the good old days.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
A nostalgic podcast based on entertainment and memories from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. Come with us and revisit the best time ever. So jump on your BMX bike, pop a heavy metal tape into your Walkman, and hang on tight while you go back to the past with us.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Hey all, welcome to another episode of Preachers of the Night, our little Kiss sidecast that Mark and I do underneath the umbrella of Pastimes at 80s High. Of course, Mark is here with me. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good tonight, AJ. It's been too long on this one, man.
I know, right? Awesome. Yeah, we haven't done this one for a while. We're not quite sure where we're going to go with it yet, but eventually we'd like to get at least an episode out a month. I don't know. It's hard for me to explain, but I would say that I listen to what is probably considered at least the top 3 Kiss podcasts out there right now. And we are a little different. I mean, the 3 of them are different from each other, which is great. You know, you can listen to whatever you like, and I do. But you know, a few of them can be interactive. A few of them will talk about your comments when you send them in. And I've noticed in the recent past that that's kind of diminishing a bit, and our voices aren't being heard as much, if you will. And I just wanted to kind of get that out there, because that's one of the reasons that I talked to Mark and trying to get this going again. But with that being said, one thing that I've noticed about those other casts, and Mark, you're probably aware of this, but maybe it hasn't clicked with you like it has me. But you and I are the only ones out of at least the main 3 and most of the ones I listen to that checked out when Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer put on the makeup. You know, so anything that we talk about on this show that is not, you know, recent news anyway, is going to be probably the year 2000 and prior. Nothing bad against Tommy Thayer or Eric Singer, because we love them both. They're both great people, at least to my knowledge. And I mean, Eric Singer was in the band, and we loved that era between, you know, Revenge and Carnival. So it's not like we were not beside this band. Like, we are fucking diehards that from day one, from getting into this band all the way through the, you know, the first farewell tour, you know, we were diehards, and we still are. So hopefully, even after me saying this and the gripes that we're going to get into tonight, hopefully a lot of you will still want to listen to us, and so be it. If not, that's all right. To each their own.
Fine, man.
But I like to speak my mind about this band because I have a lot of problems right now.
Yeah, I do too, AJ, and we speak the truth. We don't go on and talk about merchandise and try to, you know, make Kiss more money. We're just trying to tell you the truth, and right now we're not too happy.
Yeah, right. Well, just to go back to what you just said, Mark, and because a lot of the podcasts out there will get to this, and some of our gripes, you know, have been going on for years, especially with Gene and Paul. For me, especially Paul. So something to say about that is the fact that when I say a diehard, I mean, this band is always going to be my favorite band. Paul Stanley is always going to be one of my favorite lead singers of all time, if not my favorite. Loved his attitude and his voice back in the day. But Mark, you brought up merchandise, and something that I wanted to say about that a lot of the shows that we listen to, you know, they fucking are constantly talking about that shit. And something that I have to get out there, and this is probably going to lose half our audience, Okay.
That's fine.
But we are not going to be the show that you're going to want to listen to if you're looking for a new t-shirt or any type of new merchandise at all, because I haven't paid a dime since the original farewell tour, because why would I ever give Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley any of my money when I think of how shitty they are? And that's something that bothers me when I watch these shows and they're talking about, you know, did you get this t-shirt? Or sometimes when they come out with the box sets, I'm like, I'll go online when it's, you know, released for free out of the gate to hear anything rare, like a demo I may not have heard or whatnot, but I'm not paying them any money. And that's another thing. So I just, you know, here I am. I guess what I'm doing is pushing another piece of the audience out of the way, everything I say here, but so be it. You know, that's kind of where I'm going with this.
Well, AJ, I mean, we're not a show for people that say if you don't like everything that Kiss does, then you're not a true Kiss fan. Fuck that. That is such bullshit. I mean, I don't like everything my wife does. I don't like everything you do. Does that mean I don't love my brother? I mean, get my point.
Exactly. And there's fucking fruit bats out there that are actually like that. They will just stand behind
I've seen them
and bow
commented on
over.
some of my favorite Kiss shows.
Yeah.
Kiss
It's fucking
podcast,
sickening.
so.
And that's kind of where I'm going with this as well, because where I'm getting a little annoyed is on those favorite Kiss shows, they used to say our comments and what we had to say. And lately it seems like they're weaning away from them. And I get it. Maybe people don't want to hear me bitch constantly on their show, but I'm not commenting every 5 seconds. You know, I send an email into one of them once in a while, or, you know, I post in the message board during one of the interactive ones here and there. Mm-hmm. And it kind of has just gone by the wayside where a lot of them just don't want to hear the gripes. And it's, you know what? That's part of it.
Can I tell you one of the things that really pissed me off? Some of the comments on the side were saying stuff like, what a great time to be a Kiss fan. Could you give me one reason why it's been a great time to be a Kiss fan?
Yeah.
One fucking reason.
Yeah. Well, I can give you 3 reasons that they think so. Okay. And that would be because of the 2 box sets they just released for Dress to Kill and Alive, and that they just did this thing in Vegas, you know, the Landlocked cruise. But the Landlocked thing, maybe that would be fun to go to just to hang out with other Kiss fans, like the convention we went to. And God love them, you know, if I could have afforded it, I would have done something like that, because now Pop House is getting the, you know, most of the money probably.
Yeah. I understand that, but not for $100 and $3 beers.
Yeah, exactly. No, right. Yeah. You know, you either pay five grand for a cruise or whatever it was to go to this Vegas show. And rather than bitching about everything, let me just get to the point of why I wanted to chat with you tonight. And this is not because this just happened and we feel like we needed to get out there before anyone else, blah, blah, blah. It was me calling my brother Mark tonight because it pissed me off and I wanted to bitch about it. Okay. And
yeah, he's being honest, damn it.
But yeah, I just wanted to bitch about it with my brother because it just happened this past weekend and it's fresh in my mind and I'm pissed off. And that is the fact that these guys were inducted or honored by the President of the United States into the Kennedy Center. And what a huge honor. And we know that Ace Frehley wanted to be there so badly for this. He was looking very forward to it. And of course, his passing devastated so many of us. Well, Garth Brooks actually did shout it out loud to honor them. The guy's name just left me. The country dude that did Beth and Cheap Trick, man, doing Rock and Roll All Night. That I can't wait to see that somewhere. I love Cheap Trick. And Chris Angel spoke on their behalf. I guess he did a pretty cool tribute to Ace. And anyway, blah, blah, blah. We're all going to see this on December 23rd when they air it. And, you know, we'll get to see some of it and talk about it then as well. But that, what an honor, and
Yeah, it should have been a great honor. I mean,
and it
can't
was.
let anything alone, right?
And it was. And Monique, Ace's daughter, accepted the award for him, and Trump was great about that. And it was just fucking cool. But then reading the article or hearing about the article, I think it was the New York Post. I don't have it in front of me right now, which I probably should have so I could have read it. But I'm sure all the Kiss fans out there know exactly what I'm talking about. And basically, it was Gene's shitty fucking comments about Ace's lifestyle contributing to his demise. And that angers me. But the fact that he said in there, who dies from a fall? How about fucking tons of elderly people along with others? I'm pretty sure it's one of the leading causes of death.
I mean,
and Gene didn't mention the fact that, he was in the news, a month or two ago, passing out behind the wheel. I was dehydrated, blah, blah, blah. I mean, fucking shit happens when you get older. I mean, as a matter of fact, I'm 54 years old, and I'm not proud about this, but I have to lean up against the wall to put my fucking socks and shoes on in the morning so I don't fall down. It happens. Our bodies get a little more difficult to navigate later. But with Ace being Mr. Fighting Gravity and trouble walking, and he's dealt with that his whole life, and it's kind of part of his persona, if you will. They've always talked about that. So yeah, he fucking fell, and from what I hear, the blunt head trauma that he received was pretty fucking severe. I guess he smacked his head several times. I don't know.
Really
so the people that are still supporting Paul and Gene, okay, I guess that's where I get pissed, because I am a Kiss fan and I will always support that band and love it to an extent. Like, they're never not going to be my favorite band.
Yeah, no, I know. You got to, I mean, Valerie always says to me, AJ, you got to separate the performer from who they actually are to really enjoy them. And I've always said, never meet your heroes. Hence why I didn't go up to meet Paul and Gene. And I mean, I would have loved to have met Tommy, Bruce, and Eric Singer.
Yep.
I would have loved to do that because they were class guys. But I said, I'm not going to meet anybody. I knew that Paul would probably freaking look over hit my shoulder to make sure nobody more important was coming up, which would have been everyone at the show. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I listened to a podcast the other day. The Pyro guy was talking and saying how he was so unapproachable at first. And you know what? Something to be said about that. Now I'm on a rant here, but so many people talk about how he's such a pleasure. We met him at this dinner and he spent 5 minutes with us. He couldn't have been more genuine. Of course he did, because you just fucking paid him $5,000 to spend 5 minutes with you. All right? I would love to see that same exact scenario where you bump into him on the fucking street and see how shunned you are. It infuriates me when fans say that. Like, oh, he was so wonderful. And yeah, of course he was. You just paid $5,000 to sit down at dinner with him. It's all of these things. Just, all right, let's go back to the Ace thing, because that's where I'm infuriated. I'm so tired of listening over the years to Paul and Gene just diminish Ace and Peter over and over and over. And just never fucking let shit go. I mean, think of the hundreds of thousands of bands out there that probably didn't get along so great. They got on stage, they made it happen, and then they go their separate ways after the show. Okay? But what is it that decades after the fact they have to shit on these guys? Is it because any amount of spotlight, like, honest to God, are they like jealous that Ace died? Like, that's where it almost boils down to. Like, Ace passes away and he gets this spotlight for a while, which he is fucking more than well deserving of.
Yes, indeed.
And they're like finding ways to fucking knock him down even now. And it just has always made me sick to my stomach. And Paul Stanley is not off the hook here because over the years, he's probably been far worse than Gene. And I lost respect for him at least 25 years ago. He's a shitty human being. And yeah, I don't know. Everything, even other artists talk about him saying things that they find uplifting, make me want to punch him in the fucking chin. Like, I think it was Billy Corgan, I forget who he was interviewing, but he talked about running into Paul Stanley and at like a deli or whatever. And he looks at Billy and says, "Don't we have a wonderful life?" It's like, go fuck yourself. I don't know what it is. He just rubs me the wrong way. And I get pissed off at Kiss fans. Like I said, everyone out there, my favorite singer of all time, probably my favorite band, and they still are. But the fact that anyone can respect him after the way he has fucking acted, probably for a lot longer than 25 years, but we just didn't see it, I guess.
So AJ, I'm the last 5 or 10 years, I've been beginning to think that as friggin' full of himself as Gene Simmons seems to be, I'm starting to think that he might have a little bit of insecurity in him. I'm starting to get there, man.
No, I don't know.
I'm just saying he looked really insecure in the mid 80s up there wearing friggin' drag or whatever.
He didn't look insecure to me at all. He just looked like a fucking idiot. But
well, maybe I felt insecure about how he looked. I
knew that you're probably right, because as a Kiss fan and getting shit on as a Kiss fan by all those other people that used to try to beat on me for that, I was insecure for him too. But if there's something that I could never say about Gene, it's him being insecure. He is like the most fucking confident human being I've ever known. Like, not known, but you get my point.
So I talked to you about Neil Peart. He was talking about Kiss, and he was saying that Gene and Paul were just basically control freaks and just money hungry and just pretty much controlled everything. And that Ace and Peter were very lovable guys. I mean, obviously they had issues with substances. I mean, don't we all? But my point is they got swallowed up by their freaking greed and their controlling personalities.
And it was always funny because Neil Peart was that way with Ace and Peter, and Geddy Lee was always that way with Paul and Gene. Like, wow. So you almost wonder, I'd like to see their personalities aside of the band as well, like, right. I don't know. I just feel like you got to be a fucking asshole to like Paul. That's all.
Yeah, I've heard stories where he can be a very pleasant person, but then somebody more important shows up and he treats you like shit.
Yeah, and that's a shitty person is my point.
That is a shitty person. I know people like that. I've known people like that my whole life.
Me as well. Witnessed it many a time. Just you were talking about substance abuse and all that too, and that made me think of as well is, Gene, just after Ace's death, when asked, if he had any regrets or whatnot, he talked about how he wish he had been there for him more. Why the hell couldn't he have? First of all, if we go back to 1978, 79, when the demise started happening, where were they then? Like, rather than saying, you shouldn't be doing these substances, blah, blah, blah. I think where's rehab and the help of a friend? You know what I mean? Like, I've been through this. I've been through both addiction on my own and addiction trying to help others. And it's not a friggin' 1 month thing. You know what I mean?
No, of course it isn't. Or not a one conversation thing at all.
You can only do so much, of course. But I don't imagine Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley were that type that just tried to get them into rehabs and tried to save the band and
No,
this or
absolutely
that.
not.
And I just felt like they were always, so clean in that aspect that they were just shit on. And I mean, I'll always go back to the Tom Snyder interview, which in my opinion, Ace is a hero, but
absolutely.
But I could also see how he could be the fucking annoying drunk friend that made you feel uncomfortable. Okay. But in that aspect, run with it and do the best you can. And they were just so sickening in that to me.
Oh, they were so uptight. And AJ, what I want to say about that is Paul had this thing, and Peter Criss mentioned this very recently. I think it was after Ace's passing away, is that Paul just wanted a narrative. He wanted a fucking narrative, and that's all he cared about. He wanted everyone to have this perception of Kiss when it was a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
And that was probably the truest thing I've ever heard said about the band.
Well,
and
the narrative at the moment, you mean?
Well, exactly. He always wanted to push the narrative of the moment, and that's all he cared about. He didn't care about reality.
Yeah. Let's go in to the narratives here. All right. Let's go into the Elder. What do you think Paul Stanley was saying?
This is going to be massive. We're going to be freaking, this is Tommy. This is freaking The Wall. Sgt. Pepper's.
It's going to be the greatest album. Same thing with everything through the 80s and the early 90s through Carnival. Like everything was the next best thing. I mean, Revenge, although still a favorite to a lot of us, how many fucking albums through the 80s were going to be, a cross between Creatures and Destroyer?
That's all they ever said.
Yeah, every fucking album was going to be a combination of them. It's sickening because now go ahead and have a chat with Paul Stanley and ask him about the Elder. All right?
Oh, yeah. Or even Carnival. He hates Carnival.
Ask
he
him
probably
about
hates
any fucking album that didn't do well or he didn't have a hit on, just on another note, I did want to bring this up. And, I guess with this, I'm kind of ragging on all 4 original members. But the fucking sunglasses inside. Okay? Now, I need to rewatch it. And this could be an edit right here, but I'm pretty sure fucking Gene shook the president's hand with sunglasses on. Like, Isn't this a fucking sign of disrespect? Like, didn't your fucking mother ever tell you to take your hat off and your sunglasses off before you sat down at the dinner table? Like, what a cocky fucking prick. Like,
yeah, Gene's even higher than the president of the United States. Maybe that was the message. I don't know.
Yeah, right. But anyway, just that pissed me off. It always pissed me off when they would do that.
Kiss seemed like a friggin' 4-person team, absolute team going through a live. And they even musically seemed like it through Rock and Roll Over. The crack started to happen. And I think Paul Stanley had a lot to do with it. He started getting controlling. So friggin' controlling. Gene was just, I don't know, updating, sharing. I don't know about you and I, AJ, but I think we probably would have got sick and friggin' tired of Paul and Gene.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much throwing us aside, and we would have been out partying and banging everything that moved and just doing whatever we wanted to do. And I think that's what would have happened to a lot of people.
Absolute. But anyway, just to finish where I started, we're obviously huge Kiss fans. And, I was thinking maybe in the next couple weeks, maybe we go over Paul Stanley's solo album, Mark, to show some love and how I love certain things and you love certain things, because that album to me is a fucking masterpiece. I named it as
the Ace one too.
I named it as my favorite album of all time because that's how important that album is to me. That's the type of fans we are. We love the band. We loved what the members contributed to the band back in the day. It's just there's so many Kiss fans out there now that just make me sick to my fucking stomach. Like I said, the ones that bend over backwards and just support anything they do. And, oh, I'm going to buy Paul Stanley's carpet pieces when he moves out of his house. And, it's fucking gross to me. I guess what my point is we can have a love for this band and be objective and say how we fucking feel about them. But just to end the fucking whole Gene subject with talking about Ace, we obviously lost a huge icon, a huge influence to rock and roll, if not one of the biggest of all fucking time when it comes to guitar players. I don't know who got more guitarists to start playing. Not because he was a virtuoso, but people saw him and said, I want to friggin' do that. And did. And obviously, we're going to see that over the next few years, hopefully with some tributes and just listening to the people that have already talked about it. But it's the fans that just support the members and don't give a fuck how they act. Like, that's where I get sick. I get sick that way in real life. How people will support someone who's not doing a good thing or a right thing. And for Gene to shit on somebody who can no longer defend himself, if you will. All right. And do it pretty much in front of his daughter on a huge weekend of celebration going into the Kennedy Center. He fucking needs to own up to this. This is truly something in the Kiss world. One of the first things that I can genuinely see affecting it. And with that being said, do you remember Ace going on Eddie Trunk's show and threatening to come out with some news on Paul and even Gene, because they were disrespecting him? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
It was like he gave absolutely. Paul an alternative. When he called, when Paul said on Howard Stern that, how come Ace and Peter, blah, blah, blah. And Paul said, well, because then you'd have to call us piss, saying basically that they couldn't perform or play. Fucking prick. But with that being said, Ace did say something, and although it's probably bullshit, I hope it's true, and I hope it happens. Okay? But he said that his lawyer has a lockbox in a bank with info that Ace wants released. Man, would I love to see that shit come out.
I hope the fuck that comes out, man. That would be awesome. But I mean, Peter really, he kept saying Paul did it to everybody, tried to control everybody. I don't know if he did it with Gene. So this show was kind of about Gene, but I mean, they were just controlling friggin' bastards.
With that being said, brother, we are huge Kiss fans, and we truly do hope that you'll listen to some of the future episodes, because when we dig deep into the albums and some of the old shows and stories, I mean, I saw them 37 times through my years. I know that's not a lot compared to a lot of Kiss fans, but we'd go to several tours a year. I'd buy the album. I would go in and throw the money down and snag the album illegally the night before release. It was always a Monday night because the releases were Tuesday. Like, I couldn't wait to hear this band, and they're still my favorite, and I genuinely mean that. So come on in and listen to some of the future episodes, because Mark and I kind of started doing a few here and there, but never dialed into it. And now I think I want to start talking about this band again. So,
well, yeah. So AJ, one thing I want to say before we go off is I think Gene actually insulted us fans when he was on with Billy Corgan and saying, I think you're great musicians. And Gene says, I think we were good musicians. It's like, fuck you.
It's the same reason they kept you out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame all those years, because those snobs would not say, this is a great band. This is an influential band. This is an important band culturally, aesthetically, musically.
On the other hand,
I'm not trying to fight your fight for you, but what I'm saying is...
it's okay. That is true. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. On the other hand, I considered buying it. If the only thing I get out of it is that it made me, by some standards, very rich, fine.
Okay, a different take on my argument. You made all that money because you're in a great band.
Okay. But I would be, by the way, I think I would be maybe not just as happy, but certainly happy if I put out Gangnam Style and those 2 billion people paid for every one of those copies. I wouldn't be sad.
I get exactly what you're saying, Mark. I mean, why the fuck not just accept the compliment? Like,
No,
where
wouldn't
was
do
he
it.
going
He
with that?
wouldn't do it.
Where was he fucking going with that? It made me sick.
That's my point. You know, if you want to say that you're not great musicians, well, I guess I'll go right directly after you, Gene.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
I disagreed with him so wholeheartedly, and I thought that was an insult to Kiss fans.
I agree.
Personally.
Nope, I agree 100%. I mean,
Maybe
because
not a
their
big-
fucking music was hooky, catchy, fucking unbelievable. Whatever. We're going to talk about the band down the road. And obviously, anyone listening to this is probably a Kiss fan that now hates our guts. Like, we want you to continue to listen to us. But if you're someone out there that can't say something bad about this band, then go listen to someone else, because we're not going to be your cup of tea. How about we put it that way, Mark?
That's perfect.
Right?
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Just wanted to say something, as my brother and I did this episode just a day after this comment was made, a day or two. But since Gene has issued an apology, and just to get that out there, he said, on reflection, I was wrong for using the words I used. I humbly apologize. My hand to God, I didn't intend to hurt Ace or his legacy, but upon rereading my words, I see how it hurt everyone. Again, I apologize. I've always loved Ace. Always. Now, I'm happy that he did issue that, but as George Costanza would say, you can put your sorries in a sack, because I just feel that it's an empty apology. There's nothing worse when an employer makes an employee apologize to someone, or they're not finding that on their own accord that they fucked up and saying sorry because of that, more because they have to. So I find this to be very empty, and Gene should have never, ever said what he said to begin with. So that's that. I'm glad he did it. But with that being said, thank you all so much. And please check us out in the future, because I do think that you'll like some of the stuff we do if you're a true, real Kiss fan that can be objective. Well, thank you out there, Kiss fans. And I mean that when I say that, because I think if you go back and listen to a few of the episodes, like I said, we were very new at this when we started the Kiss episodes, the Preachers of the Night episodes, but we're going to get a little more in depth with them in the near future. So please check it out, because I think you'll realize that we're genuine here, that we actually do love this band and love the music. Doesn't mean we have to like all of the human beings throughout their whole lives. Okay? So anyway, thank you, brother.
Yeah, that was kind of what's the word? Therapeutic.
Yeah, I needed to bitch for a bit.
Yeah, I
Fired me
totally
up.
agree, AJ. My blood has been boiling about this for a while.
Yeah. And
So
with that being said, let me say this real quick too. Any of the other podcasts, I know they're not listening to us, I would guess, but if, anyone does listen and, knows any of them, I'm hoping you're being heard. Like, if you have an objective opinion, I'm hoping they're actually saying things and letting you have a voice. And thank you all for listening. And brother, thank you.
Oh, yeah, that was fun to get it off of my chest too, brother.
All right, man. And we are out.
Friends say they'll stay with you right through that danger zone. But the closer you get to that fiery hole, you'll have to make it alone. Spared from that near fatal wreck. If the devil wants to play his card game now, he's gonna play without an ace in his deck. Rock, soldiers come. Rock, soldiers go. Some hear the drum.
You've been listening to Pastimes at 80s High. Our passion is the nostalgia from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. When times were more simple, times were more fun.
Hey, bud, let's party.
And we weren't stuck in our phones all day.
Inconceivable!
We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, you can send an email to pastimes@80shigh@gmail.com and hit the website at pastimes@80shigh.com. See you next time.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.